Welcome back everyone to Burra Country. I'm Peter and today we are doing the ride from Cathkin to Alexandra, which is the side trail on the Great Victorian Rail Trail. And this is on a different day. It's actually a few weeks after I did the trail ride of the full length of the Victorian Rail Trail. And that's because I hurt my knee on the first day and I decided not to do the extra bit on the side, but as promised I'd come back and do the next bit. So left home about 3.5 hours ago to drive to here just to do this section, so that's okay. And we're just heading up now. This is the Goulburn Valley Highway. So back there, just so you know, there is parking there for this, where this turn-off is at this end. So as I said, this is the Cathkin end, and there is parking, so I'm just going to watch the road here for a minute. It's about 10:30 in the morning. It's currently 10 degrees Celsius. It's very foggy, so it's pretty cool at the moment. And over there's also a drop toilet there. So, and there's a little bit of information about Cathkin in the area, and the poem about the rail lines closing. Things were getting crook in Tallarook is one of the main lines. My dad used to quote that a bit, I think, and so did a few other people. So up here we've got a sign, and that sign is, we passed that previously, and that's the sign that says Yay, 21 kilometres that way. Yark is 6 kilometres if you're heading that direction, down, keeping going. And now Alexandra, it says 13 kilometres from here. And as all these trails go, the signs always are different. It depends on where you start. So it says 14 Ks officially. This says 13 Ks. I've just put my watch on, so I'm measuring this on a GPS. So I always add that as well. So officially it's a 14K section, and I'm only doing that section today. So a short ride really. Along the trail here. So welcome back, part 4 of the Great Victorian Rail Trail. And also going to apologise about the sound. So if some of the audio that I do while I'm actually riding is not so great, I've left my microphone at home. Well, actually I have a couple of microphones, and for some reason that whole bit's been left out of the car, so I've missed that entirely. So apologise for that, but we're off, and been looking forward to finishing this one off and heading down to Alexandra. Now Alexandra, have been there. We did stop down there last time we were here, and it's a great little town. In fact, when I say little, it's probably the biggest town in the area, next to Mansfield, and it has quite a lot of facilities there. So there is a hospital there, there's emergency services down there, and it's a regular stopover for people depending on which direction you're heading to Mount Buller. It's one of those stops along the way. So otherwise it's really going to be a clear day today, and the weather will be nice for the rest of the day. Morning. And as we see, there's already quite a few people out and about. G'day. toilet. See what the sign says so that I have some information. Oops, wrong way. Silly man. Okay. So, it's just a standard sign. Tells us where we are, and we are about 3/4 of the way to Coriella. Eelington cutting. And I'm just going to there we go. There's the Eelington cutting. There's a bit of footage of that. And let's just move up to the edge a little bit. It's quite a drop down there, so don't go too close, but there you are, look at that. These are views that you get from rail trails and walking trails, I guess, in general, where you just don't get them when you're in the car. So that's a magnificent view. We're about 5 kilometres, just under 5 kilometres outside of Alexandra here. So, and that's probably Alexandra over there in the distance, just down over here somewhere, with a big mighty hand come down. Be good. And there it is. That'll be Alexandra down there. So there we go. Nice little Saturday morning ride. Okay, we'll head off again. And there's a picnic table here. If you do want to stop, have a picnic. like all the other rail lines in this area, closed in the 70s. So the traffic stopped in around about 1973, and the line was closed in 1978. Going from Cathkin and you're heading towards Alexandra, you're going to have a very long incline upwards. It's around about 130 meters all up, the rise. And once you get to the lookout, which is about 4 kilometers before you get to Alexandra, you've hit the top of that rise. So it's mostly all the way, if you're heading that direction, you're going to have a constant incline. Now, when you get there, though, of course, that means you're going to come downhill all the way, because Alexandra is down below that altitude, and you're in the high country here, so you're on the edges of the high country, so you're going to have hills, and that's to be expected. And it's a very nice, really well laid out trail. It's actually very neat and very well kept, this trail, and very consistent in the way it's presented. Once you get past that lookout, it's actually quite a good downhill run. And it's nice after riding that first part up to the top of there. It's quite an easy run, and you can actually be rolling at quite a speed down there, so just watch your speed. That area had just been graded by the look of it when I went through it today, so fabulous. Now, Alexandra is a town of around about 6,500 to 7,000 people. It's the largest town in that part of Victoria. And I suppose the next part along is when you get to the end of the rail trail and you get to Mansfield. That would be the next biggest town. And so Alexandra, like Mansfield, is a popular stop on the way to Mount Buller. So people heading to the ski fields often stop there. And so there's some good cafes. There's some good food to be had there at Alexandra, I should say. And there's a couple of hotels there. There is accommodation. There's emergency services. Everything you need is there in Alexandra. So we stopped in there for lunch on the way home after the ride before driving back, and had a really good lunch there. So it's a nice place to stop and visit. So the reason why Alexandra existed in the first place was mostly it started off as a gold mining town, so there was gold there. There would have been coal in the area, and so the gold mining started the town off, and the first post office in there was about 1867, so it's quite an elderly town. It wasn't originally called Alexandra. It had a name change, and it was originally called Redgate, and there seems to be a bit of dispute over why it's called Alexandra. However, there was some ideas that it was named after Alexandra of Denmark, or it may have been named after someone else there who had the name Alexander or whatever. So no one's exactly sure. And the persons named Alexander were actually the people who first discovered gold there in 1866. So the other town was Coriella that was near it, and that is where the station was. That town is completely gone today and no longer exists at all. And as I said, the railway station has even been moved down to Alexandra. Walking around the train station there at Alexandra, man, it has been well kept. It's got a lot of old pieces there, and there is an active tourist train line still running from the station. So I do have to apologise. I did see the sign that said, please dismount your bike when you got to the train station. What I didn't see was the part underneath it. Maybe I was in a hurry, but I did see there was other people up on the station, and they had their bikes with them, and they were actually coming off the station when I got there. And so I saw the bit where it said, please dismount. So I did. I dismounted the bike, and I walked up onto the station to have a look, and I wanted to keep the bike in view. But I hadn't even realised there is a sign there saying, please don't take your bikes onto the platform. So I apologise for that. And Joyce did point out that to me on the sign. And I said, oops, I've made a mistake. So my apologies, people. However, the station is really well presented. There is all those museum pieces sitting there. So if you're interested in trains and a bygone era, worth going and having a look there and walk around. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Thanks for joining Burra Country. And this was the last episode for the Great Victorian Rail Trail. So that was Cathkin to Alexandra. And what a fabulous trail it is. It's really worth doing. And it was worth driving up here to do. It really was. So about 14 Ks. Haven't turned the GPS off yet, which I need to do. Let's just do that. And it says 14.33 kilometres officially. So there you go. So pretty accurate. And if you enjoyed watching that, please have a look at the linked videos here on the screen, and have a look at some of the other trails we've done, and also some of the reviews we've done on some of the equipment we have. And today was the first use of using mountain bike flat pedals with shoes, and so have a look at that review when that comes out. See you next time.